We need to do one where you're good and smamming.
I will do a show drunk every buzzin, dirty dozen, dirty rotten rhymer.
that should have been our intro.
That is Eminem. I can't take credit for that. That's D12.
You're getting loose.
I am getting
feeling good.
Feeling loose like a goose.
Tell me you're recording this.
I am recording the best a man can get. I'm drinking Virgil Kane. Robert Barron.
All of it.
It's a rye. Riot. Get it? It's a riot.
It's a riot. Riot. You played the long con on a very short word pun.
Yeah, I did. Welcome to the Buckhorn Podcast. I am Martelle, and with me always is Randy. What up, Randy?
What's up again?
I am buzzing.
You are. We decided to turn. We usually do one episode a week, and we decided to make it a twofer because my wife and the kids. A twofer. My wife and kids are at some haircutting party or something. Yeah. So Martelle decided after doing our last episode, he said, I kind of feel a buzz.
I'm feeling buzzing.
So he decided to get another drink.
Yeah.
So
this is like my third.
You've had a few, yeah. You poured mine light because I drive, which is smart.
Right.
But you're staying home, so you poured yours pretty hefty last episode.
Yeah, I did.
And now it's 15 minutes later, and you got another.
Yeah, I did. I got another one.
And the funny thing is, folks have commented when we ask people to message us. I've had people text or message. Martelle has too. And they say, we want you to do an episode totally drunk. Well, I'm not going to get drunk.
And I'm not going to do one totally drunk.
I'm not well, we can't function. Like
I can't function normally.
Yeah, well, I mean, pitter patter. Let's get at her. So that's from a show I've been watching this show called Letterkenny on Hulu. And I've seen some clips from it that were hilarious. And it's a Canadian show, which is weird to me.
Nothing good ever came out of Canada.
Except for that and Corner Gas. Two sitcoms I got into, and when if you stand that back and look at them, they're not great shows, but I get hooked, and they're funny. And Pitter Patter, Let's Get At Her is one thing they said, and I just said it for the first time.
Yeah, you did.
The fact that in like a week I've gone through I'm on the sixth episode, or sixth season now.
Okay.
So I've pretty much, when I'm at home, play with the kids, do dinner, whatever, I put them in bed, I pretty much watch Letterkenny. And it is it's not a family-friendly show.
It sounds like a kid's show.
It's not. It's about this small town of 5,000 people. It's rurally Canada.
How much have you had to drink?
Not as much as you, but I can't. I've never been able to say. I can say rural, okay-ish. But it's kind of like saying, like, whoever invented the term lisp. Lisp. My name's Randy. I can say Randy. All my other R's, like if I have multiple R's in a word, it gets kind of confusing. But anyway, pitter patter, let's get at her.
Pitter patter, let's go.
I'll send you some clips from the show because some of them are hilarious and you would laugh. But people have been saying they want us to do an episode where we're good and buzzing, and I drive here, and it's just not. It's not what I want to do.
Well, no, it's not safe.
Right. I mean, that's the main thing. I'm not about that life.
We're literally in one of my extra bedrooms.
Yeah, so Martelle, he could drink every bit of bourbon here.
I could pass out.
If he drank every bit of bourbon he had, he'd die.
Yeah,
you would pass out before you got to half of your bourbon.
Poisoning.
Yeah. But he can drink till he passes out, and then I'll just get up and leave, and he can stop the recording when he comes to, I guess.
Like 20 hours later.
So you'll be snoring and burping and farting in your sleep. Be a great episode. So you guys are about to get an episode with Martelle slightly buzzed.
Possibly. Yes, absolutely. So yes, obviously it's the same day as our last episode. Are we?
I mean, we are. They aren't.
Right.
You're having another Virgil Kane, a different Virgil Kane.
Different one this time. I'm having some Robert Barron.
You literally just said this one has some fat. Oh, man. I'm going to have to translate by the end of the episode. This is Virgil Kane what?
Robert Barron.
Robert Barron.
Yes, it is a rye.
and you had me I took a very tiny sip of this just to taste it. We'll go ahead and review it and rate it quickly.
It's different. It's not corn.
It's very different than the Roundhouse we had on last episode. It is a rye bourbon, and I like this one better than the Roundhouse.
I spilled some on my console.
Again, second episode, same day, spilled
more
bourbon.
This time.
More of it. He knocked the cup over, the fancy glass over, and proceeded to... he was trying to drink it up off the table quickly.
It was significantly more.
It was a lot, and you were essentially huffing bourbon fumes.
Yeah,
because he started I wish I had my camera ready. It was hilarious. I'm in tears, crying, laughing at him. I got a few pictures. I just put one up on Facebook and on my Instagram and tagged Buckhorn in it.
We'll have to repost that in 3 weeks.
Yeah, exactly.
When this show actually goes out.
So how many donuts would you give that one?
This one's more. It's not a 4. It's probably closer to like a 3.
Okay,
it's really
step down.
It's good. I mean,
and it is cheaper than the Roundhouse.
It is very much cheaper,
and it's not limited run.
It is. This is not a limited run.
You can get this if you're down in the Carolinas or Georgia. You can get this pretty regularly.
You can find this almost in any store. This is one of their main staples. They have the Robber Rye, or Robber Baron. Sorry, the Robber Baron Rye. Their ginger infused, and then they have another one. I know. They have another one
made with real gingers.
It's made for real redheads, fire
real redheads,
real redheads, real redheads. They take fire crotches and they grind them down into a juice, and then they put it into their bourbons.
Into a juice. Yeah, no. This I did take a little bit, just a very tiny sip, just so I can get a taste. I like this one better than the Roundhouse.
That shocks me. But this is sweeter. This is not corn based.
It is. It's definitely sweeter. It's milder. There's no burn at all.
No, there's no burn on
this.
Like
if you were to take that and throw a couple ice cubes in for somebody brand new, they could sip on that.
Yeah, they could sip on this
especially if they had water
for days.
Or be like Martelle and just sip on it all day.
Yeah, or for a couple minutes until I get
you knock it over and
until I knock it over and spill it again. I have to drink it off the table.
I want to give this a higher rating than the Roundhouse, but last episode anyway,
you gave the Roundhouse a 4.5.
Yeah,
and you can give this a 4.75.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm not going to be like 4.692. I'm not doing that. It kind of makes me want to go back in time.
I would hate to cut that donut that way.
Exactly.
Can you cut that donut into 4.6?
Like if somebody's like, "Hey, you want to split a donut with me?" Sure, cut it in half. You don't say sure, cut it and cut me off 0.34 of that donut.
Would you cut that into 2/3?
No, I wouldn't. I would just throw it at you at that point and walk away.
I'd be like, no.
So here's my dilemma. My dilemma is I had a high expectation for the Virgil Kane. I gave it a 4. I thought that was very fair.
Oh yeah.
And you know how stringy I am with my donuts.
Well, see, so don't compare so at that point with this one, and now we're getting to bourbon reviews again. You're comparing apples to oranges. You're comparing a rye.
Well, I'm comparing bourbon to bourbon, but I get what you're saying. It's too different.
A rye bourbon to a corn bourbon.
But when you're talking to somebody that doesn't know bourbon, which a lot of our listeners say, "Hey, I'm learning from you guys to do more reviews." I'm trying to put it in ways that people that haven't had many bourbons or haven't had the taste.
So
if I say this is a 4.5 and this one's only a 4, they're going to say, "Well, that one's better."
So let's break it down to a whiskey. A whiskey can be done with bourbon. Or I'm sorry, not bourbon. Corn.
I know you can make whiskey with your bourbon.
You can make whiskey with your bourbon. Corn, rye, and wheat.
Right.
So let's break it down to those three pieces.
So we would essentially have 3 different categories.
So you have 3 different categories for your ratings. So you can have a corn bourbon, a rye, or a wheat.
Okay. Well, then I'm also putting this one at 4.5.
The Roundhouse that we did last week was a corn-based bourbon.
Right.
This is a rye.
Right.
So you can't really compare the corn to the rye.
That's fair. I'm just trying to. What I look at our ratings as is if somebody's listening, and we give something a 2-star, it could be a rye, and then they listen to an episode and we give something a 4.5, like I did last week, and it's a corn. They're going to go after that corn because it's a better rating, but the rye may be better.
How much have you had to drink?
Not as much as you, but apparently enough.
Obviously,
I just have fat lips. Voluptuous lips. This is why people don't like my voice. It's because of the things I say, not the way it sounds. Or a combo of the two. I'm not sure. But so if we're saying that, I would say, okay, so we're here to educate. Good point.
Right.
The rye typically is a sweeter, smoother bourbon or whiskey.
And some people
to us, you're right.
Some people say that it's not.
Right. They believe the other way.
Right. So it's like cilantro. Cilantro, some people say tastes like soap.
Yeah.
I think cilantro tastes like soap.
I don't think it tastes like soap.
See,
so I'm in a different camp on that
So you're in a different camp on that one. So, and some people think
but
that
I'd have
rye,
to sit here and try that to give a fair... I've never really thought of how cilantro tastes.
I will go downstairs and get some cilantro after the show.
We'll do shots of cilantro.
We'll just chew on some cilantro after this. But rye, and some people think that cilantro burns. That rye burns more than corn does.
Okay, well I'm gonna say then I'm also giving this 4.5. Although I think it would be a better beginner bourbon. If somebody's going to get Virgil Kane that is not a bourbon connoisseur, I would recommend this over the Roundhouse, which is probably smart because they'll be able to get this before they get the limited one Roundhouse anyway.
Right.
So,
and this is also a cheaper price point.
Right, it's cheaper.
You're saving $20 on this stuff.
So how much is this a bottle?
It's like $29.99.
Okay, so $30 a bottle. That's perfect.
Yeah,
that's just above Weller's. I would say it's every bit as good as Weller's, if not a little better.
No, and Weller's is absolutely sweeter because it's a wheat.
I love Weller's.
Wheat is not. It's so much better.
I love Weller's.
But
without making this another whole episode on just bourbon, I'd give that a solid 4.5 as well.
But I give it a 4. I mean, a straight up 4.
Yeah, out of the two, and you gave the Roundhouse a 5.
I gave Roundhouse a 5.
So you give this a 4. Okay, that's fair.
But
so it's another good one.
all the Virgil Canes I give between a 4 and a 5.
Yep.
I mean, and all the 2 bitches.
Well, yeah, you've said that. Those are your benchmarks.
Benchmarks.
You have to.
Virgil Cane and 2 bitch are my benchmarks. They're all between a 4 and a 5.
If I make Jefferson's Ocean Voyage 3 my benchmark, then I have to compare everything to that. It was kind of dumb of me to do, I guess, but it's where I stand. I still stand by it. That is the best bourbon I've ever had, and I've had it, man, year and a half, 2 years ago, and I'm still talking about it.
Right. It's what you. It's the best you've had.
Right.
And it's what you remember.
Right. So until something comes along better,
and that
holds my 5 spot. So whatever I give a 5 to has to at least match that.
And what I was trying to it's the best you've had. And when I say it's the best you remember, it's what you remember having.
Right.
So there may be never anything that ever comes along that ever beats that, because it's the best you've ever remember having.
It's the best a bourbon can get.
Right. In this case, I actually have the best that I've ever had downstairs. And until something better comes along in the Roundhouse or in any of the Virgil Canes or the 2 bitch.
Yeah. But that Roundhouse is like your top of the line.
The Roundhouse is
it's your benchmark.
Is my benchmark. And the 2 bitch,
not benchmark whiskey, bourbon.
Right.
When we say benchmark, we mean the premier top of the top, creme de la creme, our favorites.
And I don't have to go down. Yeah, and I don't have to go downstairs and get a glass of 2 bitch pack leader reserve.
Yeah,
because we haven't reviewed it on the show yet.
Right.
I can tell you right now that it's going to be a 5
for me.
For me.
Oh, okay.
Like, I don't have to go down. I don't have to tell you that it's going to be a 5.
Yeah.
Like I've got, I think, a 3/4 of a bottle downstairs. I've had 2 glasses out of it or 2 pours.
You already know.
I already know it's going to be a 5.
I'm looking forward to it then.
So, but it's going to be one of those things that it's going to be a 5 for me. It's one of my benchmarks.
Right.
I'm trying to get a bottle of Eureka Gold. I'm trying to.
Here's one I haven't tried that a couple guys on the car forum we're talking about is Angel's Envy.
Angel's Envy is fantastic.
I've never had it.
The sherry cask, which I had, it was $11 a pour from when KDB Kitchen Dining, whatever it was. It's the old Sega place up at Easton.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I went in there one day. We had a work function there, and I walked in and I asked the bartender, I'm like, what about the Angel Envy? He's like, it's $11 a glass. My first question out of his mouth was, how heavy is your hand? His response was, heaviest in the business.
Okay.
I said, all right. I said, give me 1 glass of Angel Envy. Give me another empty glass then on the rocks.
Right.
And a spoon. He looked at me confused. He gave me a glass of ice with Angel Envy in it all the way to the top. I mean, he poured it. I mean, it had to have been, it was a 3-finger pour. I stirred it for 2 minutes with the spoon, took all the ice out, put it in the extra glass, set everything aside. He understood at that point what exactly I was doing. I sipped on that for 3 hours.
Wow.
I made it last for 3 hours.
That's worth $11.
It cost me $11. When at the end of the day, it cost me $22. I gave him a 100% tip because after I took everything out, that glass was still full.
Still good, yeah.
It was still a full glass, and it was a rock tumbler. I mean, it was your standard, what you're holding, which people can't see,
right?
But it was a rocks tumbler. I mean, it was your standard rocks tumbler.
Nice,
and it was full. So
now we reviewed that, and I want to give a review on this, which you said last night.
Mm-hmm. That is my infinity bottle.
And explain once again what an infinity bottle is.
So an infinity bottle is when you have a decanter or you have an empty bottle, and you take what would be your last pour or half of a pour or whatever is left in a bottle, and you just dump it into another bottle, and you start mixing things together.
It becomes a combination.
Left over of what you have left over.
It's kind of like when you have like a week's on Thursday night, nobody wants to cook, so you get a pork chop, half a pork chop from Monday night.
It's your leftovers.
Like some tater tots from Tuesday night. Like nothing matches, but it's all thrown together to make a meal.
Right. So what you're drinking is Leadslingers Still Right Bourbon, 1792, Russell's Reserve Single Barrel, Buffalo Trace, Rabbit Hole, and Chivas Regal, all poured in on 11/26.
And I think...
And that's all done on 11/26. Then I've added on a 1/6 when we did the Jefferson Reserve very old small batch, blah, blah, blah. When we did that, what was left over from that, I added on 1/6. So all that has been sitting and marinating together.
So I think all I've had out of that list before this concoction is Buffalo Trace.
And the Jeffersons.
And the Jeffersons, yes.
Yes.
Because we did the reserve review. I forgot that.
Yep.
And that's the only time I've had Jefferson's Reserve. Yeah, but it's an interesting concept because you would think a lot of people would look at some of those and say, I'd never mix those with any, you don't,
Well, they're all bourbons,
but
except for the scotch.
Right, which, you're still talking, it's not like you're mixing like tequila and vodka.
No.
You're mixing very similar. Even with scotch, it's a dark liquor, you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
It's nothing crazy.
No.
But 1792 is one I need to try because I know somebody that says he lives out in West Virginia between Ohio and PA, and he said everybody out there swears by it, like it's their go-to. Like,
it is
they
really
go nuts for it. I've never had it, so maybe we need to do a review on that. But yeah, it's interesting. It's good.
It's different. It's absolutely different. I couldn't tell you what the APV is on it.
No, it's all mixed.
But it's all mixed. It's really good. I put a little bit.
Good.
I've tried it several different ways. I've tried it neat. I've tried it on the rocks, and I've tried it with a splash of water. You've got it with a splash of water because that is what I feel the best way to have that particular mix.
Yeah.
So that is the way I served it to you with a splash of water.
It's
and
good.
It's coming around. So.
And it could change, too, as it ages.
Oh, absolutely.
That's the thing.
Well, it can change as it ages. So as it sits longer, things will just kind of change chemically wise. That's just science. But as I add things to it, it will change.
I wonder.
That's the way the infinity bottle works.
Now,
you can change the flavor based on what you add.
Absolutely. Well, if you add a bunch of rye in, it's going to make it, to us, sweeter.
Right.
For example. To where if you add 2 rye but 4 wheats and 4 corns, it's going to totally be a different flavor profile.
Right. It's constantly changing.
Obviously.
And I can control the flavor profile by adding things I like versus things I don't like.
Right.
Which makes it my own version
personal, right,
of what I want.
Here's something that just popped in my head. Now, I used to watch the Moonshiners TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Big into the history of our country and the moonshine running, and just all of it. It fascinates me. I love the guys like J.B. Rader, Popcorn Sutton, and their stories, and the way that they made
and the Suttons whiskey. Are still around.
Yeah, absolutely. The way they made corn whiskey and all this, and the way different folks would do different infusions and do different. So I'd always watch that show and go, man, now they're going to make a brandy, or they're going to try and make this, that, or the other. Well, the one that I always thought was interesting was when, what's his name, Tim went to go legal. Well, then he wanted to make an aged bourbon because the clear corn whiskey. Let's be honest, and I've seen it on the shelf, the Tim Smith clear corn whiskey. he was talking about there. Well, he'd like to do an aged bourbon, but then he looked into it. And he's like, I can't afford to let this stuff sit for 7 years.
Yeah,
10
yeah.
years,
I mean, it has to sit at a minimum 2 years,
right?
To be.
So
decent.
what he did, he called in some brilliant guys who put those charred oak chips in a barrel and kind of like electrified it or whatever.
And Buffalo,
and aged
and
it.
so and what Buffalo Trace is on the cutting edge of doing different things. Like they've
to age it quicker, right?
Yeah, they've done like not so much to age it quicker, but to age it different.
Right,
like,
okay.
They've done like laser aging. They've done ultraviolet aging. They've done the chip aging. They've done. They've done combinations of those things.
Well, here's my thought.
So they've done like weird aging technology to try to figure out how to get the same flavor profiles in shorter amounts of time.
Right. Well, obviously, because if you can get it done quicker, you can get your money quicker.
And that's why they've stopped putting aging profiles on
the bottles. Right? Yeah,
which drives me insane.
I hate that.
I want to know how long it's been sitting in the barrel.
I absolutely hate that. And if you look it up, like Ancient Age 10 Star used to be aged 10 years. Well, they quit calling it. They still call it like 10 Star, but it doesn't say aged 10 years anymore. It's aged 7 years now.
But Eagle Rare is a minimum. Like, so Eagle Rare, for instance, is a minimum of 7 years, I think.
Something like that.
Something like that. But it could be anywhere up to 10 year.
So here's my thought, and I don't know how or if or why it would work or when it work. What if we did a separate Infinity bottle for you and I to try, and we got some oak chips or charred chips or something, just dropped in the bottle and just let them sit?
We could try that.
6 months or a year later, put it in the window by the sun. I don't know. Like, would that enhance the flavor? Would it make it more oaky, more, more? I don't know. I don't know if
we would have to actually put it outside.
Okay, I mean that's fine either way.
It's not so much the barrel has something
to do with it.
It's the weathering, it's the heat
temperature,
and cold fluctuation.
Exactly. And that's why you can't make Kentucky bourbon everywhere.
Right. So Kentucky,
you can't make it in like the Caribbean where St. Lucia, you say it's always 80.
Right. It's always 80.
It wouldn't age the right way.
No.
If you had a barrel house.
It wouldn't age the same.
Right. That's what I mean.
I wouldn't say the right way. It wouldn't age the same.
Well, I'm saying to be Kentucky bourbon, it wouldn't age the same to be a Kentucky bourbon.
That has to do with the water and...
Right. It has to do with a lot of things.
So, like the rick houses are... The first floor may not be the same as the third floor.
Right, we've talked about that before.
So, because there's a temper variance between the third floor and even though it may be negative 20 outside, the third floor and then the barrel on the bottom will be different from the barrel on the top of the rack on the first floor as the barrel on the bottom as the barrel on the top. And so
we should experiment with this.
It's a whole science thing. Like we would have to. It's like we could put a bottle in the shed. We could put a bottle.
We should do like a little mini greenhouse.
But we would have to get we'd have to get mini barrels and then test. I don't even know how we do it. We'd have to get like moonshine.
Right, just clear corn whiskey.
Clear corn whiskey.
And age it ourselves.
And then age it ourselves in different barrels in different locations.
And wait a couple years.
And it would have to sit for years, so this show would have to be around for a while.
We don't know if that's going to happen. Never mind. I thought, throw some, well, it's like when you cook, you get some like apple wood or mesquite wood to throw on the barbecue and it helps change the flavor of the meat.
Smoking the meat.
Just throw some of those in there and next week it'll be fine. All right, moving on.
I would love for it to work that way.
We just need our own rick house and lots of years.
Lots
of money.
Hey, we'll be back in about 7 to 8 years. So
thanks for listening. Thanks for listening. 7 years with our own bourbon review of our own bourbon. Oh, man.
We'll have the Buckhorn bourbon review. I was thinking of
changing the flavor profile, though, and I was thinking back to the Moonshiner show and how he wanted to change the flavor profile of his corn whiskey. And they did, and essentially it would take like 24 hours to age it the equivalent of aging like somewhere between like 4 and 5 years or something, the way they were doing it. So I was like, well, if we can take a small bottle, now granted they're doing drums at a time and have all this high-end equipment.
Basically 44 gallons.
Yeah, and they're using some high-end equipment, but I was just like, I wonder if just letting it, some wood chips soak in there would change the flavor. And as it would
definitely change the flavor.
That's what I'm saying. So I don't know if it'd be good. I don't know. It may suck. It may ruin the bottle, but it popped in my head. Moving on.
Char the chips, throw them in, see what happens.
So right now, I give your current Infinity bottle a solid 3.5.
It's definitely a 3. It's good, but it's not great.
Nah,
I'm
with you. I say 3. I was trying to be generous. I'll give you a 3. That's what I want to say.
It's a 3. It's a 3. It's not great.
Which honestly, though, a 3 when I say 3, though, I'm still thinking a lot of the middle shelf, the good bourbons. There's a lot of good bourbons I'd give a 3 because they're not great.
Yeah, and all the stuff that I put in there, I mean, it's all
solid ingredients.
They're all solid stuff.
You started with good stock.
Yeah.
So you can't have a bad bourbon, really.
Well, it could be. It could be all good stuff that just turned to crap.
I guess, but it'd be really hard.
But they're all pretty good stuff, and it's only the still right was it's good. It's not great. Yeah. Everything else I put in there was great. So the good brought everything.
Step up your game.
The good brought down the great. So it's kind of a lessons learned. As I add to, the still right will get worked out.
Oh yeah.
So
you won't notice it after a while.
I won't notice it after a while. So it's fine. But anyway, moving on.
Moving on.
The best a man can get. In the news lately, so Gillette.
Yeah.
Let's talk about this.
And you didn't want to talk about this.
I've been pushing on it. It's not that I didn't want to talk about it. It's that I find it irrelevant.
Well, irrelevant, and at the time this episode will release in weeks to come, it'll be even further irrelevant. Which is a fair point.
Well, I found it irrelevant then.
Yeah.
When Gillette released this article on January 13th, I found this article irrelevant.
The video
dumb and irrelevant then.
Until right before we recorded, you admitted you didn't even watch through the whole commercial.
Oh, no, I didn't. I purposely ignored it.
As soon as it said right off the rip, is this the best a man can get, you stopped.
Well, I don't use Gillette product anyway.
I don't either. I don't shave. I have a beard.
You don't shave.
I do. Actually, I shave up here so I don't look like Fat Wolverine.
Well, you just don't look like a werewolf.
But it's funny. I looked this morning after our conversation last night. We were texting back and forth. I looked at my razor like, Beth bought my razor. She buys the razor blades. Maybe I use Gillette. I don't know. It's a Schick. It's like, I'm good.
Right. I have Schick stuff.
Yeah. So I didn't know, but I do.
And I'm pretty sure that when I do use a razor, because I just use an electric trimmer and just trim everything down.
Yeah.
I don't actually
you keep the stubble.
I don't put blade to skin. And when I do put blade to skin, which I think the last time I actually put blade to skin
was between your legs.
No, my dad's funeral. Smart ass.
How long ago was that?
That's
been years ago.
2012.
Wow. So you haven't shaved blade to skin in a long time.
I have not put blade to skin since my dad's funeral. Like, that's the last time I put blade to skin. And I use a safety razor.
Yeah. Old school style.
I use old school. And my safety razor is from the 1940s. It's my grandfather's safety razor.
Shut up. That's awesome.
I have 2 of them. I have 2 antique safety razors.
They still make them. You can go to Walmart and get a safety razor.
Yeah, you can, but they're not
I know they're not the same, but they're better than a disposable or a Gillette or a Schick.
Absolutely.
Even.
My sister uses a safety razor when she shaves.
When she shaves her legs. More manly than most guys.
And she is a butch ass bitch. But she uses a safety razor because her and I talked about it. I'm like, do you want Grandpa's one of his old safety razors? She's like, no. She goes, I spent money on a good one. She goes, like, but I have one of his old safety razors. Do you want
awesome.
one? And she's like, no, I'm good. So I use a safety razor. I have Schick blades. Now that I think about it, I remember on the container it says Schick. They are Schick blades. I don't use Gillette blades.
So really, we have no dog in the fight because we never used them to begin with.
Yeah, I don't use Schick anything, or I don't use Gillette anything. I don't use their shaving gel. I don't use. Actually, when I shave, when I do actually put blade to skin, I just use soap and water.
Yeah, sometimes I don't even use soap.
There was a point where I was actually dry shaving. Like when I was getting ready, there was a point in my life when I was getting ready to move to Florida. If I hadn't gotten a job at Nationwide that led me to where I am today, Liz and I were moving to Florida, and I was joining the military.
That was before you had kids?
That was before we had kids.
That was a while ago.
So it was a long time ago. That was 12, 13 years ago.
That hadn't happened.
If I hadn't gotten the job at Nationwide, I'd actually be living in Florida right now, and I'd be in the Army because I would have joined the reserve.
Reserve, right?
And I was prepping myself for quick shaving without
you're
water.
Used to it.
I was prepping myself. I was shaving.
See, that's funny because when I lost all the weight to join the military, I would time my showers.
I didn't even time my showers
because they say like at least in basic or boot camp, depending on which branch you go into, you would get so many minutes or whatever. So I would get up the same time every morning, go for a jog. I'd time my shower. I would shave. Oh, I didn't shave my whole facial hair off, but I was doing a lot of that too. So I get what you're saying.
I was dry shaving. Like there was no water involved. It was razor.
Shave and get out.
It was there was no. I wasn't even shaving in the shower.
No, I'm saying like you just shave real quick and leave. I was totally dry.
Dry. You know,
get out of the way.
Get out of the way. I was done. Like it was. There was no powder, no lotion,
right?
No water. It was straight razor to skin. Done. Like. And I was used to it. Like, my face, you just build up and get used to it. I was done because I didn't want to deal with the bullshit of move, go, go. You don't have time to lather up.
Right.
You don't have time to do this in your shower. You want to be ready for it. So I was prepping myself for boot camp to be able to go in, get a shower, shave in the shower, and be done because and have, you know, a clean face and not have to deal with run back, dry shave, have have master sergeant yelling at me, have drill sergeant yelling at me, doing everything, you know, because I had one whisker on my chin. I didn't want to deal with that. So it was shave, go. But in that, Gillette has released a commercial on January 13th about toxic masculinity.
Yeah.
And you and I have we've gone and I've said how irrelevant it is.
Right.
And my meaning in irrelevant is it is about the 1% of people of guys that treat people like shit.
Absolutely.
Like this video is irrelevant. And so in looking
at it's a lie.
Absolutely.
That's what you're saying.
A lie.
It's not irrelevant as in nobody's talking about. It's irrelevant as in it's not real.
No, it's not real.
Reality.
It's not a real thing. It's got 26 million views. It's got 732,000 likes and 1.3 million dislikes.
Yep, sounds about right.
So that leads me to believe that there's an issue with this video. Now, in further research, they haven't lost any sales in this.
No, they won't.
They won't.
It's
an advertising scheme.
Well, you don't lose sales. What you do is you change sales. So you're going to lose a lot of the guys that go, I'm not a douchebag. I'm just a normal guy, but now I'm not going to buy your crap.
Right.
But then you get the extremists that are the other way go, well, now I'm buying all Gillette crap. So they don't lose any, but they don't really gain either.
The market
This
just
happened
shifts.
last year. What was it last year that happened? There's something I said they won't lose any sales because they're going to lose these people and gain these people, and it just shifts.
Right. The market
but
just shifts.
They align themselves a certain way now. Before, nobody thought about Gillette.
No.
As far as I know, nobody went to the store and go, well, I'm not buying Gillette because I am buying Gillette because
think
now they will.
Think about the racing. Go back to the racing scene, and I'll have to find the videos. Gillette is a huge racing sponsor.
Oh, yeah.
They have Gillette posted across the racing girls' asses.
Mm-hmm.
How is that not toxic masculinity according to what they're promoting?
My very favorite thing that I saw, and I shared it to one of my cousins, because she was like, I don't get the big deal. And a couple guys were like, I don't get it. And I said, like, my reply was, I just think it's dumb. I don't care either way.
Absolutely.
But I shared a video where a female YouTube personality or reporter something. I mean, this video had like 1 million something views too. She was basically going out there and going, you're all dumb. As a female, like, this is stupid. Gillette's wrong. And she found out that Gillette charges the pink tax.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't know what the pink tax is charging women more for the same product they do men. So if you look at Gillette disposable razors in the men's section, blue ones, I'm throwing out a number, I forget, but I think this
just
one
call
certain
it $9.99 for a
eight
for a
of them
razor.
were like $12.99.
Yeah.
For 8 throwaway razors. The women's 8 throwaway razors were pink. Same thing, same number of blades, same company, same makeup, same material, and it was like $15.99.
Right.
And she was like, wait a second. How are you making a commercial about this when you guys charge women more and market towards women for the same thing?
Right.
Like if a woman goes, I don't care if my razor's blue, she can save money. Mm-hmm. But they don't market it that way. They put the ladies' razors in the ladies' section and charge more because, let's be honest, women use razors more than men typically.
Right. And all they're doing with those razors,
will not go through razors as fast.
So that all they're doing with those razors is putting slightly more lotion on that.
No, these were the ones, lotion, nothing.
The exact same
thing, just blue and pink.
Holy shit.
They were literally the exact same, the throwaway, the cheap of the cheap.
It makes me hate this company
nasty razors.
Even more.
Right, that's what I'm saying. They weren't even putting lotion on these ones. These were identical, side by side, Same kind of plastic, just different colored. Once said for women, one said for men. Women shave their legs. That's a lot more real estate than most guys' faces, unless you got Jabba the Hutt face, I guess. So, like me, I have a razor, a Schick one where you can pop the thing off and get new razors.
Yeah.
I don't think I've changed that thing out in 6 or 12 months because I literally shave like a very tiny strip above my beard once, maybe twice a week. It's like a few hairs. My wife shaves her legs and her armpits and everything, can go through razors left and right.
Right.
So they're going to charge them more because they know they're going to get this money from the women.
They're just going to pay
and then they make a commercial about how men are evil.
That's why my sister uses a safety razor and just pays for the single double-edged blade.
Right.
So,
but either way, so that was the one that at first made me go, look, I don't care what anybody else says. This company's hypocritical. The end.
Oh, absolutely.
Once I found that out, I was like, this is a joke.
Here's the video. Let's play the audio.
All right, we're going to play
So here's the video.
Explain what's happening.
So right now they showed that the best a man can get, the woman kissing the video, the guy.
Is it?
Then it's just people running through, freak, bullying. Let me turn this up some.
Sexual harassment is taking over.
Now here's the thing. Pause it real quick. Pause it.
We can't laugh it off.
So they're talking about sexual harassment. Some of the imagery they use in this is an old sitcom.
Well, they made up a sitcom.
Exactly. It's not even real.
It's not real.
It's a made-up sitcom where a made-up character goes to grab the butt of a made-up female character, and a made-up crowd laughs. That never once happened.
Not that I have seen.
Right.
I mean, even if you go back to like the Lucy and Desi days.
It was called the show was named after the woman.
Right.
Most people could have named Desi Arnaz.
Right. So
but if somebody says something from I Love Lucy, even people that haven't seen the show know who, they know of I Love Lucy or something. Right. Nobody knows Desi Arnaz's name.
And they show kids, they showed a kid jump through a movie screen being chased by other kids.
Right.
So that was part of the whole thing, the bullying.
Right.
So they're calling that.
Which anybody with good morals, men or woman, would stop a group of kids from beating up a kid.
Absolutely.
Period. All right,
so let's go ahead. We're going to keep going through this. People laughing.
Actually, I think she's trying to say.
Making the same old excuses.
Now, that's the one where they were in the business board meeting.
That's a boardroom, and he's mansplaining what she's actually trying to say.
So they're insinuating she said something, and he's going, what she's trying to say is a nice way of saying, no, she's dumb because she's a woman.
Right.
Here's the funny thing about that one.
I've been in meetings. I've been in meetings. I've never seen that happen.
Never. And why is she the only one in that whole boardroom? Because most corporations in America today are very well aware that they want women, and even they try to find women in other what people call minority races on their board. They want representation. I've never once sat in any corporate meeting and saw somebody do that to a woman. As a matter of fact, a few of the companies I worked for, the CEO were women. Right. So they were the ones that were like, no, you're dumb, sit down.
My CEO is a woman.
It's a woman?
It's a woman.
A whole woman?
A whole woman.
All the women.
All the women's. My CEO is a woman.
So that's a made up. No, I'm not saying that hasn't or can't or won't or has not in the past, whatever. I'm not saying that doesn't happen. But it's a very small percentage, I think.
Right.
All right,
keep going.
Boys will be boys.
Boys are wrestling on the ground.
Right.
Boys are wrestling, not fighting.
Right. They're rolling on the ground.
Right.
Nobody's even throwing strikes.
So we're doing toxicity,
and there will be no going back.
No going back.
Because
you can't go back.
We believe in the best in men.
Once you go back, you never go black.
All right.
That's bullcrap.
This is Terry Crews.
Right.
This is Terry
let's
Crews
talk about this.
standing in front of Congress claiming, now, whether it happened or not, I don't care. But a producer is not going to walk up to Terry Crews and grab his junk.
No.
I love Terry Crews. I think he's hilarious. But he cannot claim that a producer came up and grabbed his junk.
Actually, I would say he can.
Hold on. I would say he can. I'm going to take that back. I would say he can. But that producer has a shitload of balls to walk up to Terry Crews
and grab his balls. Yeah. But, and that's the thing, they use this clip of Terry Crews that says men need to stand up to other men.
But why didn't Terry Crews do something about that in the moment?
Here's the thing. Do you know what he was talking about there? From what I read, and if I'm wrong, my bad. He was actually going there talking about how he's been harassed by both men and women.
Okay.
Now, you look at somebody like Terry Crews. This dude's a giant. He's got the pecs that he can make bounce. You know, he's shirtless in all these Old Spice commercials, the longest yard and all this.
Isn't that hypocritical?
Chiseled. The dude's chiseled.
Isn't that...
No, it is. We've already established Gillette's hypocritical.
Well, no, isn't Terry Crews doing the Old Spice commercials and the whole peck thing and blah, 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 and isn't that hypocritical of what the toxic masculinity thing is?
Oh, you're talking about like them using him when he's done all this really masculine stuff. That could be, but Gillette's hypocritical. But the thing is, he was basically going, look, harassment needs to stop. Right? He was talking about himself as a man getting harassed, and then they used just a small snippet where he says men need to stand up to other men.
For their own agenda.
So, exactly. So they took what they wanted of what Terry Crews said and said, oh, this works for us, and it's somebody that's well-known.
Yep.
Because here's the thing. I don't think they could have gotten any other well-known male celebrity to do what they wanted to do. Now,
they just pulled that from C-SPAN anyway, which is public access.
There are male celebrities I think would stand up and say, yeah, you know, there's a lot of wrong in this world. But not to the extreme that Gillette took it.
No.
Gillette went off the deep end. They took a full running head start and then dove off this cliff. Like, it could have been like, hey, guys.
They dove off a 1,500-foot
don't be a
cliff.
D-bag, you know? If they would have came out and showed, hey, here's how to be a good father, and you got a thing playing with your kid at the park. Yep. You got a guy which there was another video I saw from 1980s Gillette commercial. All it was men playing with their kids, men coming home from work, helping mom in the kitchen. And I'm like, how did this company change in so many years from going, hey, here's what a man should be. This is the best a man can get.
Right.
Be a good provider.
Which
be
is
a good protector. Be a good role model, blah, blah, blah. And now they're saying all men suck. All men need to do better than they're doing now.
Right.
As for you, you got 2 daughters here and a wife. I come in. The first thing I notice is you're downstairs with your family working together.
Yeah.
Your daughters are working on tap dancing. You guys are working in the basement. Your girls come up. One wants to watch TV. She says, Ken, I know you're grounded. The other one can. You're doing your job as a father.
Right.
You love your girls. They love you. They weren't mad at you.
No. And
Gillette's sitting here going, you need to do better.
I have to do better as a man and a father.
Do your daughters fight?
Absolutely.
I know they do. They've done it in front of me.
Absolutely, they fight.
Gillette says that makes you a bad father because you don't stop it.
Kiss
Which
my
you
ass.
do. I mean, if they got crazy, I know you would. You want to let them stab each other. Everything up to that, maybe.
I might.
Depending.
Depends on who's stabbing who.
Uh-oh, Martelle's got a favorite.
I
mean, my point is, like, I've got a boy that's about to, in 10 days, well, from when to the day.
He's about to get 5.
He'll be 5. He's 5 now. And when this airs, he's 5. And I've got one that is currently 4 months old. They're going to fight like cats and dogs.
Yeah, they are.
Because my brother and I were they're almost the same age gap. My brother and I are a little bit closer in age than these two. And, dude, we had knockdown dragouts when mom and dad weren't home. And we got disciplined.
Uh-huh.
My dad showed us what it was to be a man. My dad showed us how to handle being upset at your spouse in both a manly way and the home we grew up in, a Christian way. When we got in a fight, my dad would lay it to us straight. You know, it wasn't beat around the bush. It wasn't, oh, boys will be boys and let us stab each other. But it also wasn't, hey, you guys can't ever be mad at each other. You can't even roll around on the ground wrestling. So my brother-in-law's perfect examples. When he was a Marine stationed on Lejeune, he was a mortarman instructor, right? He'd already done a few tours, had 2 boys getting older, then they had their daughter. As the boys were growing up, one year they got boxing gloves for Christmas from their Uncle Pete, also a Marine. So it got to the point where every time they'd start fighting and one would swing on the other, he'd say, go get the gloves. They'd say no, he'd make them get the gloves, and he'd say, okay, Dawson, hit Aiden. And Dawson wouldn't want to. No, I don't want to now. Nope, hit him. You wanted to hit him. So he'd kind of tap, and then Aiden, your turn, hit Dawson. And he'd show him that in that, telling them to hit each other, they realized quickly, we don't want to hit each other.
Right.
So why did you let so he's teaching them, okay, you want to fight? Let's fight. And once they got the gloves on, they realized we don't want to fight. There are ways to teach your kids. You don't have to say every man is bad. No fights ever happen. There are other ways to teach your kids.
Well, let's get through the rest of this.
Oh yeah, I forgot
this video. So
2-minute commercial.
Here we go.
Smile, sweetie.
Come on.
So
that right there, that pissed me off.
To act
smile, sweetie.
the right
Smile,
way.
sweetie, pissed me off.
Not cool.
So they're doing this whole thing where it's like it's it's wolf whistling or wolf howling or whatever.
They call it cat calling, whatever.
That's it.
Yeah.
So smile, sweetie, or hey, baby.
Now here's the thing: cat calling.
I have never done that once in my life.
Have you worked in construction?
No,
I have.
But that's
I get
no.
But let me tell you.
To construction.
To be fair, new construction. I was a commercial electrician for only about 6 months in that role. We had a insulator that came in to insulate the HVAC pipes, smoking hot, according to everybody. I wasn't there the day she was there. But the way everybody talked about her, like, yeah, she's really hot, but that was about the extent of it. Nobody said I wanted to do anything else to her. Nobody whistled to her.
Yeah.
So I heard about this girl.
But that's
about a month later.
That's all like Looney Tunes.
Right. Well, a month later, she comes
stuff.
in while I am there. We're still working on the same building. It's a huge build. And she walks in. Everybody says, hey, how you doing? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Once she leaves, they said, oh, man, she's really hot. That was the extent of it. Nobody said nothing to her
while she's there.
They controlled themselves, and these were guys that were like single, older men, divorced, whatever. They'd talk nasty all the time. They'd cuss up a storm. When she was around, they were very polite.
Yeah,
and I'm just like, I don't think Gillette catches that. The people that made this commercial and the people that greenlit this commercial have never worked in that environment.
Well, they're not even calling out construction. This is a guy who's coming out of basically a Starbucks.
Well, and that's what upset me, and that's what I guess I should have alluded to. Saying something like "smile, sweetie," okay, it's kind of derogatory-ish.
I say that to my kids,
right? But if you see somebody bummed
in a family photo,
especially if it's somebody I know, love, respect, whatever, if I see him, it's kind of, hey, smile, it's okay. Yeah. Hey, what's wrong? Hey, buck up.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
So, all right, let's keep going.
And
all right, so we got some bullies chasing a kid.
And small.
I am strong.
Guy with the daughter. Oh, the kids that were wrestling in the background
is not enough.
Yeah,
in the backyard. Bullies.
Okay. Because the boys watching today will be the men of tomorrow.
All right, so this is it finishes with, it's only a challenge. I missed it. I'm not going back for it.
No, they're basically saying be better.
They're saying be better. It ends the commercial with the kid who was being chased by the bullies, an adult stopping the bullies, the kids who were fighting in the backyard, which I wouldn't consider them fighting. They were
They were commercial fighting.
Commercial fighting. They weren't fighting. They were wrestling. They were rolling around in the backyard where they were like, "Oh, boys will be boys." That's not fighting.
No.
That is. Yes, you stop them from doing what they're doing to have a talk with them, but they were not fighting.
No.
And one adult went over to stop them.
He said, we don't treat each other this way.
We don't treat it, which is right.
I was like, man,
you don't throw your friend down on the ground and do a ground and pound on him.
Right.
Which is where this could have leaded to, but that's leaded to.
You're buzzing good.
I am. Which is where this could have led to.
Yeah, it could. But at the same time, my 5-year-old gets with his two cousins.
And they wrestle.
Drew's boys, who are turning 12. So one's 11, one's 10. They're both wrestlers. They both just took first in this tournament yesterday, right? Very good wrestlers in their weight class. Mm-hmm. Huck sees them and goes, do you want to wrestle? And he goes after him. And they are gentle on him because right now he's 4.
Right.
Inexperienced. They're both very good. Even at the state level, they're some of the top wrestlers in their weight class. Okay? They go at it. We let them go at it. It's never ending a fight. This is almost every Sunday. I won't be there tonight, but Beth's taking our kids over, going to her parents' house, where we usually all gather for Sunday dinner. Mm-hmm. All the kids are there. At some point, they all wrestle.
Right.
Not once has my boy gotten a fight with his cousins. Not one single time has it. Sometimes somebody gets hurt. Somebody's head will bonk the edge of a cabinet or something, and that's okay, time to calm down, and it's done.
And wrestling is fine. Like, my girls wrestle. I wrestle with my girls so that they know what the physical activity of wrestling is supposed to be.
Yeah.
Like, that should happen. Like,
I agree with
boy
that.
Or girl, that should
know,
happen.
so they're not surprised if they get attacked.
Right. But an all-out fight, when fists start throwing or something along those lines, or choking.
And I don't know of any man or woman that I know personally that would not step in that situation.
Exactly.
Period.
But
it's ridiculous to put it out that everybody.
Right, and that's what this commercial is.
Boys will be girls, boys will be boys, let it happen. Well, boys might be girls, it's 2019.
Well, yes.
I meant boys will be boys, let it go on.
But that's what this commercial insinuates, that basically there's 20 men standing in a backyard going, boys will be boys.
And it's a commercial made by a company that charges women more for the same product they do men. And, like you said, they slap their logos all over scantily clad women, all over
just wearing skin-tight bodysuits.
Predominantly men. Right. You know, in a culture, most NASCAR fans are more of the rough and tumble, gruff lifestyle.
Right. So here's the next thing. But
they take advantage of it.
So here's the next thing. Barbasol.
The World War II commercial.
It's a World War II based commercial on, and it's from a shaving company. It's same demographic. It is shaving cream as opposed to Gillette, which is shaving cream and blades and everything else. So their commercial is based around World War II. But this commercial has come back up because, and I say come up because this commercial was recorded in 2014.
Right, 5 years ago now.
5 years ago now, and now they're bringing this commercial up just like they're bringing up people who made references 10 years ago and they're losing their careers over shit they said 10 years ago. But they're bringing this commercial up now because of the Gillette commercial. And this commercial is around, you know, your grandfather and doing World War II stuff. So let's have a listen to this and comment. So it starts off Germany, France, 1944.
Oh, hey, buddy. It's your great-granddad here. In case you haven't noticed, I'm kind of busy fighting for your freedom in this little thing called the Second World War. But now, you're using that freedom to hurl insults at celebrities on Twitter? Listen, hashtag. You're not going to fight like a man.
That's my favorite part.
I know.
Listen, hashtag.
Excuse me.
He throws a grenade.
Right. A grenade lands next to him and says, excuse me, so I can throw this back.
Stop LOLing everything.
That commercial.
It's just funny to me.
It's funny and hits everything on the head. Just
right.
That's
it's saying quit being such a pansy and staying inside and not doing anything.
Right.
But I don't know. Here's my biggest thing about
the whole premise around this Gillette commercial is ridiculous to me.
It is. So
it is absolutely 100%.
Here's
ridiculous.
why I want to talk about Gillette, and you didn't.
Well, it's not that it's not that I didn't. I just thought that from the beginning that it was irrelevant.
And I agree.
It is absolutely irrelevant to anything that's happening today, except for saying, in my mind, saying that there's this toxic masculinity is. That is like a 1 to 5%. Is there's an extreme feminist,
right?
1 to 5%,
right? There's extremists in every facet of life.
They are so far right and left that it is irrelevant. That it shouldn't even be mainstream,
and it shouldn't be.
It shouldn't be on the news. It shouldn't be on the TV, and it shouldn't be part of anything.
So here's a tweet that went out, and this is really what I'm talking about. It all boils down to the media with me. This tweet was put out January 22nd. We're still in the beginning of 2019. So January 22nd, this guy tweeted, 2019 has already provided three giant media hoaxes. The first one was conservatives triggered over Ocasio-Cortez dancing.
What the hell is that?
False.
I don't even know what that is.
Exactly.
I've never even heard of that.
Exactly. The second one, Trump ordered Cohen to lie about Trump Tower, Moscow. False. The third one, we kind of talked about it in person, but not on here, and I don't have time because I just realized I was supposed to be at the place around the time I told you I was supposed to leave.
Oh, okay.
So I'm going to wrap up quick. But the MAGA kids provoked confrontation with Native America and racially abused him. False. 3 weeks, 3 false stories by the media, all proven false, and nothing has changed, and they're still reporting garbage. And that pisses me off. That chaps my cheeks to no end. And that's what I really want to talk about more than anything.
All right.
Is how the media's garbage. This Gillette commercial just kind of catapults it too. It's hypocritical. It's complete trash. It does not belong. It shouldn't. They should not be allowed to do this because it's slander. It's garbage. I'm sure somebody will disagree, and that's fine.
They can disagree all they want.
You cannot prove to me that the amount of people that you personally know, you cannot say the majority of them act that way.
You can call me an asshole, but I am not. I don't fall. I do. I personally, I don't feel that I fall under this toxic
masculinity. Your husband and a father of 2 girls,
right?
You don't want that stuff happening to your wife or your 2 girls.
No, hell no. So but I'm a self-proclaimed asshole
and a douche.
And according to Aaron, I'm a douche. So I'll just take that as well.
I get called all kinds of names, but my point is, this commercial is absolutely absurd. And then the media took the commercial and went, "Hey, everybody, look at this," so they could sell more headlines.
Right.
they're all trying to keep jobs in the media because, honestly, there's so many media outlets. Like back when it was just newspaper or just TV, it was limited. It was harder to
It was
to
local,
be.
and then there was, this happened. Baby Jessica fell in the well.
Yeah, but now it's so easy for anybody to go on and start
anything.
Right. It's like us doing a podcast. And we talked last year, 200,000 new podcasts started last year.
Right.
And you're talking about doing another one on the side with a fitness one.
Right.
Anybody can get on and start stuff nowadays. So now they're all reporting about this, and everybody's throwing this Gillette ad and this MAGA versus the Native American thing. It's all a bunch of garbage. Quit sharing this crap on Facebook until you get the details. Quit spreading these lies. Quit feeding into it and letting them trick us.
That's the whole thing. Like
that's my biggest thing.
So, Quick Tuck's point on the MAGA kid. That whole thing, when that came out, I had people sharing that. It was not sharing it personally on my timeline, but I just saw it as I was
saw it everywhere.
Oh, this kid, he verbally abused this Native American, blah blah blah. I'm like, you know what? I'm going to hold back. I'm going to sit on this for a minute because this isn't the whole story. This cannot be the whole story.
It wasn't.
This kid from a high school field trip, which is what it was touted as, went off on a Vietnam vet,
which he wasn't.
He
was proven that he was a vet, but he was never in Vietnam, and he never left the States while he was in the service.
I never went through. I didn't go back further on that.
I'm a very small part Native American, but I've got like call it a bleeding heart about the way the natives were treated, and are. So I was like, man, this dude. So I started looking into it because I wanted to make sure before I blasted this kid is the spawn of Satan that it's right. Well, no, they went back and looked at his DD 214. His DD 214 shows he also went AWOL multiple times. He never was in Vietnam.
Well, there you go.
He was always in the States. And I'm sitting there going, okay, I feel for Native
Vietnam
Americans. He was in around either the beginning or end, but he wasn't even in like the actual like big conflict. And I went, as somebody goes, okay, I love Native Americans, but if one's a liar, you gotta call spade a spade. You can't go one side, not the other.
Right.
Which the lady that got ticked at me, I talked about last episode.
Right.
She stayed in her camp. Even when she was proven wrong, she stayed in her camp and kept calling me names. And I was like, listen, you've been proven wrong. If you don't want to admit that now and you want to call me a woman hater or all this other stuff that I've not mentioned anything of, that says way more about you than it does about me.
Right.
And that's where I left the combo.
And this is the shit that drives me insane. So they basically, the media almost did destroy a kid's life.
Oh, yeah. They were getting death threats.
But
his parents were getting threats.
But at the same time, the chaperones that are there for this trip that they're on, and it was a private Catholic school, and they're there for an I think it was an anti-abortion protest anyway, which I have concerns about a school sending kids to an anti-abortion.
But I don't think they sent them for that.
Well, no, I think they did.
Well, I'll have to research more on that and go later.
But because I think I have friends that went to that same march.
Okay.
Anyway, that were there for that same march. So I kind of have issues with that anyway. High school kids being sent out to DC for that one thing. But then there was another group that incited that whole thing anyway that weren't even mentioned. So anyway, do your research, people. Make sure that what the facts that you have in front of you are what they are, the facts. Don't support companies, in my opinion, like Gillette.
Jeanette, this one lady that lives in Westerville.
That makes razors. Gillette. Like, Gillette is, they are hypocrites of the finest point. I mean, they're telling you not to do this, but then they're plastering their name all over women's asses at race cars, and they're doing this, and they're charging more for women's razors. And so, in my opinion, this podcaster's opinion, they're not the company I would support. Toxic masculinity as a definition from Urban Dictionary.
Yes. What's Urban Dictionary say?
Something that doesn't exist.
Boom. Mic drop. Urban Dictionary.
It is something that doesn't exist. First definition. Man, stop making up words. You toxic feminist. That is the sentence that's used. I wouldn't even condone that as a sentence, but the definition, something that doesn't exist. Bullying has been around for a while. Spousal abuse has been around for a while. Those are serious subjects that we're not going to touch today. Being an asshole towards women has been around for a while, but toxic masculinity, I don't think that's something that actually
fabricated
exists.
By the media.
Right.
Quit buying into it.
Quit buying into the bullshit. So with that, like, share, subscribe. Check us out on Facebook and Instagram. Share with your friends and family.
Send us some feedback.
Send us feedback. Be prepared for more of this. I mean, I think this is the route that
kind of where we're going.
That Randy and I are going to start taking. We're going to start hitting up
booze
more of
and
these.
News.
Booze and there you go. Booze and News. Buckhorn Booze and News. I'm going to change the name of the show from Buckhorn Podcast to Buckhorn Booze and News. I'm going to get trashed, and Randy's going to make fun of me for licking the table.
I did not make fun. I just found humor in. I've probably done worse.
Anyway. Share, like, subscribe, Facebook, Twitter, at Buckhorn Podcast, Instagram, at Buckhorn Podcast. Check us out. We will talk to you guys later.
Peace.